Welcome everyone. I'm betting most of you are here because you want to turn off a structure from repurposed structures. So let's dive straight to that. First, go to this URL which is linked on my mod page, scroll down to the very bottom, and download this config data pack for my mod. Yep, so once it's downloaded, right click on it, click extract all, and this is going to take a little bit because there's a lot of JSON files. The reason why repurposed structures requires a data pack to be configured and to turn off structures is because in 1.18.2 Minecraft, the company Mojang decided to change how structures work so that they are now completely JSON files. Well, for what they want everyone to use JSON files. And so that's what I converted my mod to use. And once that's extracted, what go into the folder, into data, repurpose structures, worldgen, structure set. These are the JSON files you're going to edit to turn off a structure from my mod. So let's say you don't like my mansions, we are going to mansion overworld JSON file, and here are these list of mansions that are currently spawning. What all we have to do is delete them from that list. That's it. And then you probably also would delete all the other files and folders just so you have that one change file, but for now we're going to leave it like that. So when you go to create a new world, click on data packs and you'll be at the screen. Take the edited config data pack, drag it in, release, yes. Now click on the right arrow button so it's under selected. Now the data pack is applied to the game. So going back, change it to creative. Now I'm going to just demonstrate that yes, it does work and that you cannot find any more repurposed structured mansions. Yeah, you probably also saw while we were going through the folders that there's a lot of other files and a lot of other options. Yeah, so that's the great thing about repurposed structures is everything is just about configurable. It just now is mainly configurable through data pack, except for dungeons and wells. Those two are not structures, they're features in my mod, which is why those are still controlled by the config file in the config folder above the mods folder. Everything else, like structures, but you could change by data packs. So locate, let's go find, check to make sure a mansion isn't spawning. Can't find it. It's no longer spawning. Just to demonstrate, let's locate a different structure that is. Yep. So as you can see, the data pack worked. Let's go back. Now let's say you have my mod on, but it's not spawning in a modded biome that you want it to spawn in. So going back to the data pack, this time here we go into tags, world gen, and into biome. Now, here's two folders. Has structure has basically a tag, biome tag, that's what they call it, in all of these like JSON files. So let's try look at a few of them. So for this jungle temple, well, not jungle temple, jungle fortress, it's using a different tag called that is collections jungle. These are using these other tags. So what that means is if we go back to the collection tag, that's where it's looking and it's saying for this grassy igloo, it wants all the entries from the regular forests, meadows, and plains tags. And if we look at, let's say, regular forest, which is this one, we have the biome tag, which is the forest. Now, it also has plains, so let's take a look. we have plains, we have sunflower plains, and we have this one. This is an optional entry. So it's saying if Terowitz brushlands exists, use it. If it doesn't exist, don't throw any errors, do not break, do not explode. So if you weren't to like add another mod, you would put in some mod, just which is the mod ID, some biome for their biome, and now this tag would look for this biome, and you put it into all my structures that asks for the plains. You can also add these tags directly to the structure specific tags. The point is, these tags are used by the individual structure, so you can have one structure be added to a biome but not another, even though they're both birch themed. The collections is a grouping of a bunch of tags and biomes together that is shared among many of my structures. So like all my birch theme structures would be calling birch forest. So if you add a new entry here, all my birch theme structures will now spawn in that biome. So that's why there's two separate folders for these biome tags. One is for the structures themselves, the other is to apply to many structures at once. And these are specific to repurposed structures. Yeah. So yeah, that's what these hashtags mean. The hashtag just means search for another tag and use those entries. Cool. Now we got into biomes covered. So what else can we do? Well, we could do quite a lot. Like for example, there's the structure map trees. If we look at these map trees will add maps to specific structures, any structure, or even any villager's tree. It's actually quite robust. So like for this one, it's adding two map trees to the cartographer. One is the Jungle Fortress map, and the other is a collection of mansions. This one is actually using another kind of tag, which is a pretty interesting one. In configure structure features, which is our structures, collections, mansions. These are the tags that hold all of repurposed structures by their types. So in this case, this mansion tag has all my mansions, and here in the maps, it's going to create a map that goes to any closest one, any closest mansion. So that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, and then we have some wandering trader maps as well. So that's a good way to like make wandering traders not so boring. Alright, goes all to right. Okay. Now let's see what else can we do. There's also the spawners, which changes what kind of mobs the spawners can have. So, for example, like the Badland dungeons, there's 48% chance of a husk, so on. You can add these to add other mobs to the spawners. That's like a rare chance or whatever. You got loot tables. This one is more, I'm going to say, technical. Ignore this folder. But let's go back to the WorldGen folder. I want to take you to the configure structure features. These are the actual files that create all my structures themselves, the actual structures. So, let's take, let's go down to Birch Village. Now, there's few options here. It's quite a lot to look at, but the parts I want to point out is size. For structures that are, I'm going to say recursive, like they keep building outward constantly, like villages, size is basically how far out they can branch. So in this case, this birch village from my mod will only build 6 pieces away from the starting piece, and that's how long a branch can be. So if we wanted to go crazy, we could make this 15 and have a big village, which is an option you can do. You can also add other structures to the structure avoid set. This will keep, say, you're finding like my structures keep like colliding with another mod structure and it just looks ugly. You can add the other mod structure set to here. The structure set being these files, by the way, not the configure structure name, the structure set. It's, it's confusing, I get it. But yeah, and then you have the spawn override. This will control what mobs can spawn in the structure, which is actually really cool. So going back to here, let's go to the outpost just to show. So here's a spawn override that's spawning pillagers. So it's going to the monster category, and then we're saying, here, if a mob is about to spawn in the structure, and we're in this monster spawning phase, spawn a pillager instead. So yeah, you can add other monsters or even creatures or whatever. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah. The last thing I wanted to show before I end this video is back to the structure set. Let's say a structure is too common, like these igloos. If you think they're spawning too much, we can go to this is the structure set folder, and then in placement we have the spacing and separation. These two values is what you can edit to make a structure more common or more rare. So for spacing, this is the average in chunks apart each spawn attempt is. The separation is the minimum distance in chunks 2 spawn attempts can be, which means the maximum is spacing plus separation. So let's say we want to make these more rare. Let's say make this 50 and this 25. Now, when the game goes to check, like create a bunch of spawn attempt positions in the world, no two of these positions will be closer than 25 chunks. The average distance apart will be 50 chunks. The maximum apart they can be will be 75 chunks. The reason why I'm stressing this is because you do not want to make separation equal to or greater than spacing, or else the game will blow up. Separation must always be lower than spacing. Just want to make sure everybody got that. Yeah. So when it gets a spawn attempt position, like it from like calculated from this, it then goes to picks a structure, one of these structures that can spawn in that biome. If one of them can, it goes to that structure and says, alright, this biome here, can you spawn in it? And does a bunch of the other checks like terrain checks, or is it too close to another structure and all that. If all those checks pass, the structure spawns. So this is just the initial picking of where to spawn, and then the structure that is selected will do the rest of the checks. Just want to make sure that's a little more clear. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for this video. If you are still confused and not sure how to do something, you can always reach me at my Discord right here. And I'm going to be in the Telepathic Grunts channel on Telepathic Grunt that's my Discord name. Yeah. And then of course, well, I might make another video later to show how to create a new structure completely, because thanks to 1.18.2, like Bojan, the way they change structures is actually awesome, and that we can actually create completely new structures from scratch using only data packs. So keep watch. Maybe in the future, I will create like a data pack that adds new mansion variants to bioplenty's biomes or biomes biomes, and it uses their wood set. That's a cool idea. Just would be a lot of work, but it's totally possible now. So that's pretty awesome. And thank you for watching. And again, if you're still confused, contact me. I'm totally fine being pinned or whatever. I'm here to help.